Hello everybody, here's what's coming up tonight on Now. A school resource officer ran toward danger when a student opened fire in Maryland.
No matter what the crisis is, you're there.
Here in Maine, police officers walking the halls help kids feel safe and respected.
A tangle of promised visas, million-dollar investments, and non-existent developments puts the aspiring Saddleback owner in the middle of an international lawsuit.
And the suspected Austin serial bomber is dead, but police worry more of his explosives could still be in the mail.
This is NewsCenter Now. And teachers are thanking the school resource officer who may have saved their lives. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. When a student opened fire at a high school, a school resource officer didn't think twice before putting his own life at risk.
That's right. We're joined now by Chris Costa.
Deputy First Class Blaine Gaskell was alerted and immediately responded and engaged the shooter. DFC Blaine Gaskell fired at the shooter, and what is described to me as almost simultaneously the shooter fired.
According to his superiors, Gaskell ran toward the sound of gunfire and confronted the shooter within seconds of the attack. Investigators have not yet confirmed Deputy Gaskell's bullet is the one that actually took down the shooter, a 17-year-old student, because there is a possibility that the teen shot himself. Officials say that Gaskell does have experience on the local SWAT team.
The officer's quick action is a stark contrast to the situation at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where the school resource officer waited outside while 17 kids and teachers were gunned down.
Now, in our state, many districts do have school resource officers. Chris Costa here now to take a look at how many do we actually have across the state. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Lee and Lindsay. So according to research from the University of Southern Maine, there are 67 officers in 93 schools across the state. While there's not much research on how effective they are, they can have a big impact in the schools and the students they serve.
Hi, how are you?
Officer John Dahlbeck roams the halls of Greeley High School every day.
Good to see you, Hunter.
He's done it for the past 25 years.
If you can dream it up, it's come through my door.
The police officer makes a point to talk to kids all over the Greeley campuses.
I'm everybody's favorite uncle.
Strong relationships that help him when students are in tough situations.
Okay, we'll see you later. Bye-bye, thanks. People are able to count on their school resource officer to do a lot of things. And most likely, the most important thing is to be there for them when they need you.
Students like Shane DeWolf know he can help when they run into problems.
I personally had a situation on our bus when one kid was saying some words to a few people, and he completely resolved the issue and just made sure that I felt okay and that I was comfortable coming back to school the day after, even though that situation happened.
Making sure a student doesn't feel alienated or alone.
It's still a handshake and looking people in the eye and tell them it's going to be okay, we'll figure it out. I'm your guy.
Researchers at USM say kids who get arrested in high school are twice as likely to drop out.
You can tell them anything, really.
Gail Carter is absolutely famous.
He's there for the everyday interactions.
There was a picture of her on the tarmac with Hillary Clinton at the Portland Jetport. Am I right?
You're right.
And anything that comes through the doors.
I'm glad that he's kind of there in case if that does actually happen to our school.
No matter what the crisis is, you're there. You know, kids will tell you anything as long as they feel like they're getting a fair shake and you're honest with them and you give them the right direction. And the fact that they know you care is really important.
Cumberland was one of the first towns to start placing police officers in schools. Starting this fall, they'll start rotating SROs on a 4-year basis to allow them to share their experience working in schools with their fellow officers. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Chris, thank you. There's something that we seem to be talking about every single day now. Another Maine school evacuated today because of a threat. The Kennebec County Sheriff's Office says a bomb threat was written on the bathroom wall of Halldale Middle and High School. Staff and students were taken to the elementary school as a precaution, and after a search, no explosives were found, and the school day continued. And this is happening far, far too much. Every single day, it seems like somebody's life and school day is getting disrupted by this stuff. So.
Right, and the schools are taking these threats, whether they're legit or not, very seriously.
Yeah, you have to, so.
All right, well, ready or not, here it comes.
Okay, I choose not, but snow's in the forecast, and Keith's going to tell us that maybe it'll be manageable.
It will be. Remember in February when it was spring? Remember that? That was something, huh? Well, that's over for now. And if it makes you feel any better, sometimes springs in Maine do go on a long time. But right now it's going on down in Virginia, in through New Jersey, in through Pennsylvania. So that's where the heart of the storm actually is. You can see the snow shield trying to rotate in. It's getting eaten up by dry air right inside the 128 belt here in Boston. So we've got several more hours before it gets into Maine. In fact, most of us looking at around midnight for an arrival time. Temperatures right now in the upper 30s. They'll drop though as the storm approaches. So I don't anticipate any precipitation type issues here. It will be an all snow event. So here we are going on through tonight. Most of tonight is fine. It's not until around 10 or 11 o'clock we start to move the snow in. It's snowing through tomorrow morning, particularly along the coastline. And I think it'll make for a tough call for schools and whatnot along the coast because it will be snowing in the morning at its heaviest and snowing through mid-morning over down East Maine and then wrap on out of here during the afternoon. Not going to be a huge storm, guys, but it will be plowable. We'll talk about amounts and then something kind of springy in the long-range forecast in a few minutes.
Yep, and opening day baseball 1 week away. So thanks for that, Keith.
Do you do sports?
Well, no, just letting you know, opening day is a week away.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So here's a sport, skiing. The Australian developer who is trying to buy Saddleback Mountain is being sued again, this time in Australia for millions of dollars.
He's accused of deceit and taking advantage of an Australian visa program. Christina Rex is here with more details today.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, a Chinese investor is suing Sebastian Mansour and his company Magellan. Now, that's the same company that hasn't come up with the money yet to close that sale on Saddleback Mountain. The lawsuit says Sebastian pitched a Magellan investment to Mr. Fusheng Li last January, touting various accomplishments in property development, including the Williston West Church in Portland, Saddleback Mountain, and a massive Portland waterfront project that includes nearly 300 condos, retail space, and a veterans hospital. Here's the thing. That waterfront project doesn't exist and was never even approved by the city of Portland. We know the Saddleback Mountain sale isn't closed, and that church is actually up for sale and no longer affiliated with Magellan, according to the realtor selling it. Now, these overstated accomplishments are just minor details in the grand scheme of this lawsuit. Accusations of lying, stealing money, and abusing a foreign visa program are at the heart of this suit, which is still ongoing. $5 million. That's how much a Chinese businessman says Magellan owes him. Mr. Li wanted to bring his business and his family to Australia. He did so through the country's significant investor visa program by wiring $5 million to Sebastian Mansour's company. According to the lawsuit, that money was supposed to be invested in specific visa-compliant programs. The Australian Significant Investor Visa Program is similar to the U.S. EB-5 program, where foreign investors can create U.S. jobs and qualify for a green card. That's a program that Sebastian Mansour at one time took interest in regarding Saddleback Mountain. Just 1 week ago, we released this tape from September, sent to us by a former Magellan contractor.
The EB-5 program is the reason we're actually doing Saddleback. The mountain and opening the mountain is something we'd like to achieve, but if we don't, we're not going to lose any sleep with regards to it.
Mansour has since told multiple newspapers that the EB-5 program was at one time a finance option for getting Saddleback, but that he's now seeking other options. In the case with the Chinese businessman, Mr. Li says he trusted Mansour at first, but knew something was wrong when he didn't get the interest payments he was owed. The court ordered Sebastian Mansour to tell the businessman what he had done with the $5 million. The answer? Property projects in Brisbane, Magellan payroll, corporate payments, and $400,000 sent to his office in the U.S. for various expenses. Mr. Li says none of this is what he agreed to and is suing to get that $5 million back. And we've reached out to Sebastian Mansour multiple times for comment on various stories, including this one. He has not gotten back to us in about 10 days now. That lawsuit is still going on overseas. One piece that will be interesting to Mainers is that those court documents actually include Magellan's proposed plans for Saddleback Mountain. Now, these are plans that we have not laid eyes on, so this is the first time we've seen them since that sale was announced 9 months ago. We'll be putting those on our websites and mobile apps for everyone to see. Lee and Lindsay?
All right, Christina, thanks so much for that. The suspected Austin serial bomber is dead, but he left behind a lot of questions.
Wish we had been able to apprehend him still alive.
What police still need to know about this string of deadly blasts.
And death penalty for drug dealers. Could that soon be reality in America? We'll have the story coming up.
The suspected suspected Austin serial bomber's reign of terror is finally over.
Yeah, today police closed in on the suspect, tracked down through cell phone records and surveillance footage. But before the SWAT team could get close enough, the suspect took off in his car and a bomb went off in the truck, killing him. Police say the bomber is 24-year-old Mark Anthony Condit. One nearby officer suffered minor injuries in the blast. Officers, investigators, and citizens are all breathing a sigh of relief, but they'll have to be on alert for just a little bit longer.
And that is, there's still two things we don't know. We don't know whether or not he had preset or mailed any other bombs before he was apprehended. We also have not fully been able to rule out whether or not there were any other accomplices who may be a part of this who still pose a danger. So those two things still have to be discovered, and we need to get to the bottom of over the next 24 to 48 hours.
Officials say they're hoping to crack open the suspect's social media accounts to try and find a motive.
Death penalty for drug dealers. Today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions not only gave the green light, but even ordered federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty whenever possible. Sessions' order follows calls by President Trump earlier this week for executing drug dealers and drug traffickers.
In a statement, Sessions said, quote, "In the face of all of this death, we cannot continue with business as usual. There is no death penalty in Maine."
So police are asking you to be on the lookout for a troubled turkey.
Look at that. And snow is in the forecast tonight, but will the rest of the week be more spring-like? Keith is in next. Look at that tie. That's spring-like.
Wow. It has been 6 months since Hurricane Maria pounded Puerto Rico.
And many parts of the U.S. territory are still without power. An island native who served in Afghanistan is pregnant and homeless. A Virginia-based nonprofit called Home of Miracles and Embraces, is raising money to build her a mobile home. So where does Maine come into play here? And Alda woman saw the call to action on Facebook and, inspired by her own life experiences, decided to start a fundraising effort here.
I remember being pregnant, and I remember being homeless and, you know, not having anything. You know, I came from nothing, and, you know, I've had to work really hard to make life happen. And, you know, but I also had the help of, you know, strangers that didn't have to help me, didn't have to do anything.
Jordan says she believes a little help can go a long way. She started painting rocks and selling them after the hurricane hit. And now students at several schools in the Mid-Coast are joining her, creating an artistic army. You can find the rocks at several stores and restaurants, including Capers Catering in Booth Bay Harbor and the Cracked Egg in Wiscasset.
Oh, good for her for getting involved. It's very nice to help out.
Yeah, they
raised. It's still going on.
I know.
It's really unacceptable, but
I mean, just think about that.
6
6 months no power. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
just think about the, the windstorm we had in October. It was a week and
6 days.
right.
It was pretty bad.
6 months.
6 months
Unreal.
they've been in
So,
the dark.
as usual, this puts in perspective the fact that snow isn't that bad, right? That's always.
Okay, good transition.
That's always
It's all
something.
about you. We're all trying
Yeah, well,
to
you
make you
know,
happy.
Mainers will say that sometimes when the snowstorm. They say, hey, you know what? At least we don't really get hurricanes. We don't really, I mean, it's rare. So there's something to that. So that maybe you'll feel better when you're shoveling tomorrow. Maybe not, but we tried. Here's the storm system. As I mentioned, actually the areas that it's hitting hardest are Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and into New York City. Much more snow than we're going to get. But you can see the leading edge of the snow starting to move in. But look at how it's being kind of just eaten here. Inside the 128, 495 belt in Boston, that's dry air, and that's going to be in play for us too, keeping the snow shield offshore until around midnight, even though it looks really, really close to us. But take a look at these dew points. I haven't shown you dew points since this summer because usually it doesn't matter, but they're dry. They're much below the temperature, which means in order to get snow all the way down the atmosphere, you have to get this dew point up to the temperature, or the temperature down to the dew point. So you've got some atmospheric work to do before you can get the snow down to the ground. And that's why it takes until later on tonight. Here we are around midnight, 2 a.m., start seeing the snow moving in along the coastline. It's snowing across the entire coast tomorrow morning and through mid-morning and early afternoon. Notice the snow doesn't really penetrate that far inland though, and if you head into northern Maine and even the mountains, you're really not getting much of anything there at all. Snow continues over down East Maine, heaviest there through the afternoon and then clearing out by the evening. So The only adjustment I have made to this map is that I have added a bullseye for down East Maine because I think it's going to be sitting over them for a while, and that's enough for 6 to 9 inches there. 3 to 6 for most of the coastline, 1 to 3 Lewiston, Augusta, and to Bangor, and then up to an inch, but basically nothing to the north and west of that. So just to give you an idea of the zones here, I only really put extreme down East Maine in the 6 to 9 towards Machias, Lubec, and just to the east there, or northeast, I should say, of Bar Harbor. After that, though, we do melt snow pretty quick because look at Friday's high temperatures, mid-40s, full sunshine this time of the year, and the long-term signals are somewhat encouraging, at least for a while. Once we get past this weekend, I guess I don't have time for that map. Once we get past this weekend, though, it will be warm on Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and that's why I joke, guys. Remember when it was warm in February? We're going to get back a little bit, at least for a few days, I think, next week into that, 45 to 55 kind of deal, which is really not crazy for this time of the year, but we've been suppressed lately temperature-wise, so that'll be nice.
It'll feel good.
It will.
Yep. All right, sir. Thank you very much. Police in Kennebunk are asking the public to help them hunt down a breaking and entering suspect. These are photos from the scene of the crime. According to a post on their Facebook page, officers responded to some kind of suspicious incident in town. The peeping Tom forced his way into a house, and you can see the damage to the window.
Kennebunk police also posted an artist's rendering of the suspect, saying they would like to talk to this Tom before he gets smothered in gravy. But all jokes aside, the animal control officer captured the turkey from the second-story bedroom and released it into the wild. No turkeys were harmed in the making of the Facebook post.
That's important to know. The Royal Canadian Air Force will enjoy a long weekend visiting the Twin Cities of the Androscoggin. The Auburn Police Department posted to its Facebook page telling residents not to be alarmed if they see or hear Canadian helicopters beginning this Friday and into Tuesday. It's a planned military exercise in the White Mountains, so Canadian pilots and crew can gain some experience in mountain environments. So if they fly overhead, wave hello to our neighbors to the north.
Mark Zuckerberg finally addresses a crisis involving 50 million Facebook users and their personal info. He and other head honchos at the social media company faced mounting pressure and scrutiny in recent days after revealing last week that in 2015, they knew a data firm got access to all of that information. Not only that, but Facebook didn't alert the users. The firm Cambridge Analytica had ties to President Trump's campaign in 2016. The New York Times and London's The Observer reported they accessed information without the user's permission and used it to build voter profiles to help during the election. Minor detail, that data was supposed to be destroyed. Just moments ago, Zuckerberg took to Facebook saying, quote, "We have a responsibility to protect your data, and if we can't, then we don't deserve to serve you," end quote. He claims the most important steps to prevent this from happening again were already taken, and I quote, "a few years ago." Zuck also offers a timeline of how the info was accessed in the first place and says 2015 is when they learned from reporters at The Guardian that the data was breached. That's when they banned the app that shared the data, as well as the data firm, and demanded they prove they destroyed their data. And he says that they did. Now, he also explained what Facebook will do in the future to make things more transparent and to keep data protected. And we have all of that info on our website and app. But guys, the most notable thing in his lengthy statement was that there wasn't a flat-out apology. He never says the words "we're sorry," and he never really revealed why they didn't think they needed to tell the users, hey, your information got compromised. So it'll be interesting to see how his apology plays out in the public eye for sure.
All right, Katie, thanks so much for that. Let's take a look now at what's coming up on NewsCenter Maine at 5:30. The fight for Down East corrections is far from over. A powerful member of the legislature and gubernatorial candidate goes to Washington County to see the prison and meet with workers. What this could mean for Down East employees and the state budget.
And there are some pretty wacky world records out there, but have you ever heard of the world's largest ice carousel? That title could be coming home to Maine. We'll have more coming up in the next half hour. All right, so some local firefighters will be swapping hoses, for hockey sticks this weekend, all in the name of charity. On Saturday afternoon, the second annual Checking for Charity event will be held. Proceeds go to the South Portland Firefighters Local 1476 charitable funds account. Last year, the event raised over $6,000. This year, they're hoping to raise more than $10,000.
There are 2 hockey games featured. The first will begin at 5 and feature the South Portland Firefighters versus the South Portland High School alumni. The second game begins at 6:30 and features the Maine Has-Beens, which is a mix of former pro and high-level college players.
It's kind of the best of both worlds. You get to play the game you love with the guys that are your buddies, and at the end of the day, not only are you having a blast, but you're helping people in the community that need the help. And you don't get into the fire service just, you know, yeah, it's fun, but you get into it because you want to help people, and this is just another way to help people in our community and have fun doing it.
The event is free. Donations are accepted at the door. There will be a silent auction as well.
Very cool. Okay, it's a pretty great tradition, right? And yesterday on the NewsCenter Maine Facebook page, we asked you about your spring traditions to mark the first day of the season. Jeff Marsh and his wife put chairs on the front porch no matter the weather. Ziva and her dogs go to the beach. Barbara gets a banana split at Gifford's. Debbie says anything outside. Yesterday, she went for a nice long run.
And yesterday, a lot of you were talking about balancing an egg on the equinox. Is that fact or fiction?
Let's bring in our science expert, Keith Carson.
It's coming up.
I can't tell you yet, otherwise why would you watch? Isn't that what a tease is?
It's coming up.
We'll talk about it. We'll do a little nerding. There won't be any math this time, though, so that's something.
All right.
So, yesterday, my birthday also happened to be the 21. Vernal equinox, which does, yes.
Someone just chanted 21.
35, and I hurt my back at the gym today, so everything's going on schedule there. So this is a cool picture of the NOAA satellite of the equinox, which is when the direct sunlight right over the equator. But I didn't realize this. Rachel asked me about it today. Apparently, we talked about it yesterday. People believe that they can balance an egg on this day because of the difference in gravitational pull, which, let's start there, there is none. Secondly, because the gravitational pull is always towards the center of the Earth, so where it is relative to the sun is pretty much irrelevant. The other thing to note is you can do it on any day. It just takes patience any day. And they actually did a study on this. Why, I'm not sure. Who funded it, I'm unclear on. But because the egg, if you zoom in, has little tiny like nubs on it, right? It's not perfectly smooth. The way you can balance it is you end up getting 3 of those, like a tripod, to sit on a surface. So go home, try it. There are some eggs that might be imbalanced and can't be done, but any day of the year you can do it. It has nothing to do
Doesn't matter
with
the size of the egg, the type of egg?
No, I mean, certainly you want an egg that's a little bit rougher. You have a better chance, and you don't want to be doing it on glass because there's nothing.
What about hard-boiled eggs?
You don't want to do it over
to
the edge either. Don't
Right,
do it
no,
at
the edge of the Earth.
Because that would be bad.
None of this makes any sense, I don't think, to them. But try it. Apparently, you can do it any day that you want.
Awesome, Keith. Thanks so much.
You don't want the egg to fall off the flat Earth.
No.
Exactly.
So. All right, NewsCenter 5:30 starts right now.